Well, we're back from Colorado,
No, we're
which is
not.
to say we're not really back at all. We're just still on the road.
We're still on the road.
But we're not in Colorado anymore. We're in Nevada.
Yeah, we went right through Salt Lake.
We went phew, right through Utah and came out the other side into Nevada. Because we're going out to the Nevada Northern. They're going to be running number 40 for the weekend. They run one of the locomotives every weekend, and this week it's 40. It's usually 40. 40 is the gorgeous train.
I love that train.
It's the 10-wheeler, a big high-wheeled passenger 10-wheeler. And oh my heck, what a beautiful, beautiful locomotive. And it is not the reason that we're going to Ely. What is the reason that we're going to Ely is they're running the wrecking crane this weekend. They don't run that thing very often.
No.
Well, they run it when they have a wreck.
Well, yeah, pick up something.
But you can't really schedule that. It just happens, and boom, then you got to pick the wreck up, and you need a crane. And as it happens, their crane just happens to be a coal-fired, steam-powered wrecking crane.
Yeah.
Left over from 1909 or something. It's been out there forever working as the wrecking crane. Still works perfectly, still gets used all the time. But mostly it gets used for, let's call it a historical reenactment.
There you go.
Or interpretation, as they call it today. But mostly what it is screwing around.
Of course.
These guys are going to fire up the crane and they're going to screw around with it. And so we're going to videotape them firing up the crane and screwing around with it. And it's an amazing crane, so check this out. The Nevada Northern is located in Ely, Nevada, and it is perhaps the best preserved short line in America. They have several steam engines, two of which run number 40 and number 93. 40 here is their flagship engine, this beautiful Baldwin 10-wheeler. They run excursions with their steam engines, mostly up here in Robinson Canyon, but also up the valley. The engine shops and yards here in Ely are, well, they're just amazing. This is the original coaling tower. There's actually two coaling towers here. And of course, this large water tower. But the place is full of just amazing early artifacts. When Kennecott closed the railroad down, they just kind of bolted the door and left. And the place has been sort of caught in time ever since. It's just amazing to see the place completely intact. Even the stockroom is still well stocked with paper. But it's so much more than a museum. It's a heck of a fun train ride. It's always fun to ride behind a steam locomotive, but the line up the canyon here to the mines is, well, it's just really fun and interesting. The mines up here predominantly mine copper, and yes, they're still in operation to this very day. The line up to the canyons is a rather short line. Originally, the railroad also ran north up to the Union Pacific. The tracks are used as far as McGill, not far up the line. Interestingly, all of the rail is still in from that point, and it's really fun to explore. The railroad also has some really cool, interesting early diesels if you're into that. Notice the blue SD unit. And this is an Alco RS unit. They have just about every configuration of RS unit in the shops here. The shops are just frankly amazing. We did a show earlier, just a tour of these shops. You definitely need to check that out if you haven't seen it. But they do have a lot of very interesting equipment around here, including this beast. This is what has brought us here today. This is Nevada Northern Wrecking Crane A, built by Industrial Works. Notice how heavy everything here is. The frame rails are positively massive, as are the wheel trucks and the boom. This thing was designed to lift 100 tons, although it would rarely be called on to lift anything even vaguely like that. Principally, this thing would only have been called out if something had gone horribly wrong out on the line. Let's say something was over on its side. Like other equipment of its day, it's steam powered. In this particular case, it burns coal, not oil or wood or something. This is the big hook. This is the hook that can lift 100 tons. The outboard hook is much lighter. It can only lift a scant 83 tons. The guys here are doing what you would call a historic reenactment for the gratification and education of the crowds and children. In other words, they've fired the thing up and they are now screwing around with it.
Tagline.
Kennecott last used this crane in 1983 for just, basic run-of-the-mill work. And when it was given over to the Nevada Northern, it was assumed that the thing was still fully operational, but short of just firing it up to see if anything blew up, they really had no way to check that. So instead, they carefully started dismantling and rebuilding anything that seemed to need work. Trains magazine initially paid for all of this work. Later, private donations kicked in. But it really didn't need all that much work. It was in pretty darn good shape from the get-go. Fortunately, they also decided to not paint it. I'm much happier with it looking the way it does than some fresh coat of paint. Right after this crane was built, the standard design was bumped up to 150 tons, and by 1922, all of these things had the capability of lifting 200 tons. And they really don't look that much different than this guy. Except that this one has a lot more exposed parts, and, well, that just makes it much, much cooler. Well, the Nevada Northern is a fun place to visit. If you've never been out there to Ely, Nevada, and if you're a train fanatic, you have got to get out there. So there you go. That's the wrecking crane.
That's cool. I'm surprised how it lifts the wheel trucks up so easily. Well, not easily, but...
Well, it just does it. What scares me is you get something as heavy as that wheel truck just kind of hovering there in space, and it's like, who's going to get killed when that cable snaps or something? And they did have a cable snap at one point. It's like, fortunately, nothing bad happened
Fingers
there.
And toes out of the way.
You're using a crane that can lift up just about anything, and it's lifting up some incredibly heavy thing, and then you're just trusting in the fact that the cables can take the weight. And, well, in that particular case, they couldn't, and the one just let go. So I'm glad the cable didn't snap with the wheel truck on it, or we would have had
a major thud.
A major thud, yes. Something would have gotten broken badly. But as it happens, it all turned out quite nice. It turned out well,
including when they set it right square down on the track.
That was really neat. That was really neat. Really, really fun. Well, if you haven't been to the channel, or if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you want to subscribe to the channel because it's cool, and we put up cool things like the wrecking crane periodically, and go to places like Ely, and it's just fun. So you want to subscribe. And the blue button will be popping in momentarily. Doink. You see it? There it is. Blue button. Click on that. Takes you to the channel. Makes you a subscriber, because you do want to be a subscriber because it's fun. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again next Sunday with some more massive screwing around. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.